Bonjour, j'espère que vous allez bien. Today's video is going to be very special because we are going to have a small conversation with one of our students who has cleared the TEF exam in just 4.5 months, which many people consider impossible. She got B2 level in reading and writing, and she got C1 level in listening and speaking. Along with that, she will also share her journey and some valuable tips to clear the TEF exam. And with that, we will also show you proof that she was a beginner when she started with us and also her starting date. So here you can see my WhatsApp chat with her. This was her first message. This was her batch, 17th of August. And if we go down, because she used to send me her pronunciations through recordings. On 28th of August, you can see the timestamp. She said that, and yes, I'm beginner, 100%, never studied French before. It shows that she was indeed a beginner, and I hope it clears all doubts. And just to show you that it is an actual WhatsApp chat and not any made up video, I go back, you can see that here it is, WhatsApp. Now, I think we can start the video. Welcome, everyone. I'm very excited to introduce our guest who accomplished what many said was almost impossible. She passed her TEF exam in just 4.5 months with mind boggling results. She didn't just pass it, she dominated it. This shows that with the right mindset, hard work, and strategy, there are no limits to what you can achieve. I can't wait more to start this conversation with our superstar, Sonal. Bonjour, Sonal. Comment allez-vous?
Bonjour Ishan, je vais bien et vous?
Je vais bien, merci. So again, congratulations to you. What you have achieved is totally remarkable. But I want to know more about you, more about yourself as a person, and more about your journey. Could you briefly introduce yourself and tell us about your background before starting French lessons? And how long did it take you to pass the exam?
For sure, Ishan. So, in 2019, I came to Canada just like an immigrant. I came on my study permit. I completed my 2 year course, and then I was on my work permit. I completed my 2 years of experience. I was working as a financial advisor at a bank. So, I was hoping that that should be good enough for my PR. But as you know, it wasn't. So that was my journey right there. But I think for my PR, I had to do more. And that's when I thought that I should go with the French. And if you ask me about the time frame, it took me around 4 or 4.5 months in total.
So when did you start learning French with us?
I remember the exact date. It's 17th of August is when I started. That was the batch.
It was the first class.
Yes.
Perfect. And why did you start learning French? What was your mindset behind studying your French language journey? Because there are so many other options as well, but why did you choose this one?
So to be honest, French looked like a very promising option at that time. So as I'm telling you, like 4 months ago, I was in the same dilemma like any other immigrant.
Hmm.
I had to do something for my PR, right? So with French, I thought like it could help me gaining more points. So if you ask me, like PR was the main motive behind learning French. I would not say that it was my dream to learn French or I wanted to learn a skill at that time. I just wanted to clear the exam just for my PR. So that was my main motivation.
Okay, perfect. And when you first started learning French with us, how would you describe your initial level of proficiency? Were you a beginner? Did you study French before? And after that, how quickly did you notice your skills improving?
So, well, when I started learning French, I was a complete beginner. I never studied French before. I didn't even know a single word of it. Like I distinctly remember, when I first sent you my pronunciations, you told me like, "Oh, it's so good. Have you ever learned it before?" And I was telling you, "No, it's my first time." So I felt really good at that time, that I'm making progress, that I'm doing it in the
Hmm.
right way. So with time, I would not say that I was, looking at the progress right away. It takes time for sure, but I think within 1 or 1.5 months, you can see the progress because uh, in the classes you will learn the words, you will learn the grammar, you will learn the tenses that are required to form basic sentences, right? So I think within 1.5 month, I was able to make sentences or have at least brief conversations. So that really helped.
Yeah, because we always say that whenever you start as a beginner, you have to have a balance between grammar,
Mm-hmm.
pronunciation, and sentence making. And
Yes.
you were one of those students who was very active outside the class. You were obviously you were learning grammar inside the sessions, but you were always sending us your pronunciations, as you mentioned, and you were also doing the homework we used to send to you.
Yeah,
So if you have a balance between these three, you can see your progress at a very brisk pace,
yeah.
as it was in your case.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I would also like to share like just the classes by itself are not enough. You, as
Mm,
a candidate, have to give your 100% outside of the class because you have to practice what has been taught in the classes. Otherwise, it's of no use, right? So just practice hard and then you will eventually progress with your growth.
perfect. Yeah, and I totally agree. Self-study is is the key element when it comes to learning a language, and that is the reason why we always try to provide a guided self-study. So we are always outside the class if you need any help, if you have any questions. So I'm glad that you have used all those facilities. Okay, and can you describe the teaching methods that were used and how they differed from the other learning experiences you might have had, specifically compared to studying in traditional schools or colleges?
Okay, so I think, well, to be honest, I haven't tried any other learning institutions or any other coaching classes. I was lucky enough to find you guys first, and that's how I started my journey. And with the teaching methods, I would say that I have heard a lot of institutions, like I tried one in India. They told me that it will take you 10 months at least to reach that level, or 12 months, like a year. But you are the one who was saying that we can do it in like 4 to 5 months. That is something that really motivated me. As far as the teaching methods are concerned, we were having the online classes, and you can ask questions whenever you want in the class and outside of the class, so that you can track your progress with the teacher, and they always give you valuable feedback how you can improve yourself. So that was really helpful.
Great, great to hear that. And what kind of support and resources were provided that you found particularly helpful in your preparation for the TEF exam?
So first and foremost, as I said, the teachers were really amazing. Their level was pretty good, and they know what they were doing. They were
Mm,
preparing us for an exam in a short time period. So I would also like to mention right here before I forget that the course was designed in a way that you get to learn things pretty quickly. So because we need to crack the exam in 4 and 5 months, so the grammar, the tenses, whatever we are learning, learn these things in like 1 or 2 months, and then you just start progressing by making sentences or by writing 200 words
mm.
paragraph. So that's how you progress, and I think that was really helpful.
And how was our approach of working with you outside the class where you made a lot of progress yourself? Because I remember that you kept working with your teacher, Kareem, but you
Yes.
were also working with me as well outside the class. So how do you think, how helpful was it? What do you think about it?
It was very, very helpful, Ishan. Even with Kareem, I would send him my pronunciations or my writings, and he would reply pretty soon with the feedback and with a very detailed feedback, I would say. He would tell me how I could improve my writing, what were the mistakes, and how to, write in a way that would help me to clear the exam, like what the examiners are looking for. So those
Mm.
are the special tips and techniques that they tell you.
Okay, and once you had mastered the core grammar of this language, how did you continue improving your French skills to prepare for the TEF exam? I'm asking you these questions because many learners find themselves stuck after covering the major chunk of the grammar, which we do like by the end of the second month. So I'm also curious to hear how you pushed past that plateau and elevated your level further.
So, well, after 2 months, I was making basic sentences, right? And at that time, I was feeling like, okay, it might be hard to do it. Like everyone has their own fears and
Mm,
everything, right? But it's important to have a good mindset. So for me, I knew that I have to do it. It was like a do or die situation for me, right? Because there was no other way out for my PR. So I knew I have to do it. I have made an investment, so I have to make it work. And then I think not to stress out is also a big thing. Don't stress
mm.
too much. Just take it like any other exam. And I would like to mention one thing. I was speaking to one teacher one day, and they told me that you can't become a different person overnight to clear an exam. If you're doing your hard work, that's good enough. You're being true to yourself. So always be motivated, and you're doing a great job. So whenever you receive such kind of motivation, I think it really motivates you.
That's great to hear. And how did you stay motivated through your learning process? I know you spoke a bit about it, but I still want to know a bit more because sometimes you have good days, but some days are really bad, are really rough, and you feel that, okay, I want to quit. but how did you keep going?
So I would like I used to take like a break from French language as well. Like one day or two, I would still
Mm.
hang out with my friends or do the other things that I like just to keep my sanity there. So I was doing that, and then I would say keep practicing. That was the key. Even if you see that okay, I'm still making mistakes, but that's not the end of it. Every day you're improving, you're learning new words. So it's not like you can't see any progress, right? So just keep going. That's the key.
And there is one common question a lot of students ask even before starting or even in the midway through this process. They ask, how many hours should a person study? Because it's very interesting that you mentioned that you were still going out with your friends, you were having a life. So,
Mhm.
how many hours a person should study if they are aiming to clear this exam in 4 to 5 months?
Okay, so I will tell you this very practically and very honestly what I did. In the first 2 months, I was just giving like maybe 3 to 4 hours a day. That was it. Because I was receiving the material in the classes, like homework, and whatever they teach you is grammar or basic sentences. And you have to work yourself outside of the class. So you don't have much things with you, right? You're still
Mm,
learning there.
mm,
I saw my huge progress in the third month when everything is done, and now I feel okay. Now I can, start speaking comfortably, and I can, start writing big paragraphs and all that. So that's how I did it in the third month. And I think in third month I was giving maybe 4 or 5 hours. But the main progress that I made is the day I booked my exam. That one last month I was
yeah.
giving 8 hours a day, and this is truth. Maybe 10 hours sometimes, but 8 to 10 hours in the last month. Because by the last month I have learned everything, right? The classes are over, you have learned everything, but still you guys were there, to hone my skills basically. So
Mm.
we were doing that. So 8 to 10 hours you should give, I think, before at least 1 month before your exam.
Yeah, maybe in the last 30 to 40 days when you book the exam, that
Yeah.
is something which motivates you as well. So we always say that
Yeah.
if you can book your exam,
Mhm.
that will also help you to improve even further because with some students, it's just that they don't have the confidence even just to book the exam as well.
Yeah, and I think my idea behind booking the exam was I wasn't sure that I will get B2, right? I
Mm,
was
mm,
thinking it's okay, even if I get B1, that doesn't matter. At least I will know where I stand, like how
mm.
much I have learned and how much I have to push myself further to reach that B2 level. And that only happens when you give an exam and actually see the results. So if you study it for 4 or 5 months, give an exam and see where you stand.
And it's quite incredible that you got C1 in two modules and you got B2 in two modules. So CLB 8 in two, CLB 7 in two. So
Yeah.
again, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
And so now you are somebody who has succeeded. You are an achiever. So I think your story can inspire a lot of other people. So I want to hear this from you. What advice would you give to someone who's looking to start his journey for the TEF preparation for the French language, and they want to do it in a short time frame because you were also in the same boat. A lot of people are struggling with their PR and they don't have any
Mhm.
option. Even with the LMIs now, they don't have any points for the LMIs as well.
So the first advice is start as soon as you can, because when I reflect back on my journey, I think if I would have started like maybe in January 2024, I would have my PR card by now, right? I think I wasted too much time. So if you are watching this video, I would say just start as soon as you can. Don't waste any more time and finish the process. I think there might be students like who I don't know if it's true, like they might drop in like 2 months. They do it
Mm,
and they feel okay that we cannot, proceed with it. It's too hard, but don't leave in between. You are halfway through. Just always think about that and keep pushing forward. And uh, and another advice I would give is make sure that you're preparing from the perspective of TEF Canada exam. Don't
mm.
think that you have to learn the language fully or completely. You don't have to learn every single word of French, I think. You just have to learn that much, which is sufficient to clear the exam. So have that mindset and work towards that only.
Yes, exactly. And I'm coming to another question. And so the next question that I wanted to ask you is because there are claims that clearing the TEF for Canadian PR takes at least 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. There are a lot of claims like that. And having achieved it in just 4.5 months, what would you say about these claims? And I also know that you mentioned before that people start learning this language as a whole. They don't understand that we have to clear the test that
Mhm.
our primary goal is for the for the TEF exam. But I want to have your answer on this question, that what do you say to those people who say that this is not possible, you cannot do it in 4.5 months, and takes 1 to 3 years.
Yeah, yeah. Well, before starting it, I didn't believe in the idea as well. I thought, how is it possible? Like, how can you learn language? And that too, people say that French is the most difficult language, right? So, but after having done it, I think it is possible. I'm an example, sitting right here. So I think I believe in it. It's just that you just have to keep working hard for it. And I think PR is a big dream for every immigrant out there these days with all the hardships they are facing. So I think we can at least do hard work that much to reach our goals.
And Sonal, how did you improve your speaking skills for the exam?
Okay, so for speaking skills, I would like to mention that I didn't had anybody speaking French with me. So I was only practicing within the class with the instructor. We used to have like speaking sessions on task A and task B both. So we were doing practice then, and I think I took some additional classes from you for speaking specifically. It was like a 1 hour class, and we used to do full speaking in that. And I remember the one thing that that particular instructor taught me is to be natural. He
Mm,
never taught me, oh, say this or say this for a particular topic. He told me, say, just speak from your heart. Like whatever is the idea that is coming into your mind, just speak that in French. Because I believe in speaking module, what they look at is the fluency or
mm,
how natural you speak French.
mm,
And if you're able to understand what the other person is speaking, that's also important.
mm.
So speaking classes never felt like a speaking classes. Like they were more like a conversation with a person in French. And I think that really helped me to improve overall speaking.
Yes, I totally agree, because I think that a lot of students, they cram a lot of stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
when they go in front of the examiner, and it takes like a couple of minutes for the examiner to identify that this person has crammed this information. So that is what, because that is not natural, it doesn't come from your heart, and
Mm-hmm.
that makes you lose a lot of marks. So you're totally right upon it. And what about the listening module? Because a lot of students feel that, and which is in fact the truth, that listening is the hardest module. How
Mm-hmm.
did, because you got C1 in listening. So how did you do
Yeah.
that?
So listening was hard for me as well because of the accent, because of the pronunciations, right?
Mm,
They are very hard to understand sometimes. But I think if you listen enough to material available online, that's good enough. For example, I was listening to some maybe podcast once in a while I'm cooking or doing some other stuff, just to have that, passive learning ongoing. And
mm,
then actively you can do like, I think there's a website, TV Sank Mond. I was doing exercises on that. That was like a fun activity because they have those radio conversations and stuff more relevant to TEF exam. So you can use that. And there are various channels available on YouTube that you
mm,
can listen to. But I think it's very important that you have the understanding of words, because because knowing the language is one thing. If you know a word, only then you can understand it when you listen it, right?
mm.
So it has to make sense for you. So I think just listen enough. That should be good.
And how many mock tests were you doing, let's say, in a week
In
before
a
the exam?
week, I think I was doing like 3 to 4. I just had mock tests that were available on YouTube, both for listening and reading. And I think there was a time when I did those much, like I was kind of about to repeat them. So I did them good number of times just to have an idea, just to get to know how French sounds from an exam point of view. Well, I think they were pretty relevant. The difficulty, I would say, it's up to the person. For example, if you are able to use your common sense, like for example, if you're listening to an audio, everybody can make sense, I hope, out of the context, like what they're talking about,
Mm,
right? And that's how, even if you don't understand the context fully, you can still do a good guess for the answer. That could be helpful as well. I think the approach that was told to us was make sure you do your 20 questions correct. Like first 20 questions,
mm,
those are the easier ones.
mm,
And then for the rest 20, even if you do at least 10 correct out of that, you will reach that level. So having the right mindset and approach, even in the exam, like I can't miss those first 20 questions. I have to
mm.
listen to them correctly. So that's what you should follow.
Yes, and I totally agree because sometimes you don't even understand everything. Because
Mm-hmm.
I see this issue with a lot of students, they over concentrate. They feel that they have to understand every word, and they when they miss a word, they get panicked,
Mm-hmm.
and then they are not able to focus. So I think what you said was very important, that you have to understand the context, and you have to use your common sense as well, especially in the listening exam. If you do
Yeah.
that, even if you miss some words, you can still get a very good score.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
Okay, and what about the reading module? How did you improve it? Because there are some students who struggle with the reading exam as well.
Yeah, so for me, reading module was my favorite module. I would like to share that because in listening, it's hard to listen. In speaking, pronunciation might be hard for you, but in reading, you can always read a text and make sense out of it. Some words would eventually make sense to you, right? So it was my favorite module. I used to do it pretty often, I would say. And so what I used was like whatever material you provided to us in the classes, I just went through that. And there was one habit that I would like to share. So whenever I'm reading a text, I would come across a lot of new words in that, right? So I
Mm,
used to write every new word in a notebook with its meaning beside it, and then I would try to learn those words. And when I'm doing my writing, I try to incorporate those words into my writing. So by doing this, what I'm doing is I'm adding a vocabulary, a good
mm,
vocabulary to my writing. I don't have to, learn 500 words of a vocabulary like that. I'm doing it
mm,
naturally,
mm,
doing my reading and then making my writing good. So that's like a synchronization that you can have in both modules.
That's pretty interesting and pretty helpful.
Yeah.
And what about finally, what about the writing module?
So for writing, I think just like IELTS or CELPIP, any other exam you give, everyone has their own ideas, like what they have to
Mm,
write. So just write your ideas. In the beginning it might be just basic lines or basic ideas, but with time you will improve those. As I said, you will be adding a little bit vocabulary or you will be using
mm,
connectors, that would help you to improve your score. So with writing you can improve that. And initially if you want, you can use like a translator. It would help you in the beginning,
mm,
but later on try that you write the full thing yourself. So yeah, I mean, I would say, like, I think I wrote in last 1 month, I my aim was to write one to write on each topic every day. So basically I think I wrote 30 topics in last 1 month before my exam of each module, section A and section B. So at least I know the type of questions I can expect in the exam. So at least I know what I can write. So you get an idea what to expect in the exam if you practice enough topics.
mm. That shows that because some people, when they will see this video, they might think that, okay, that person was God gifted or she was very talented. But it also shows that how much hard work you have put into it. As you said, that you have written almost 30 top, because I know that we were communicating on daily basis outside the class and you were
Yeah.
sending something to me each day, every day.
Yeah.
So this is something which we have to highlight, that yes, you have to be motivated, determined, but you have to work hard as well, because when
Mhm.
you work hard, it will also help you to stay motivated.
Yeah.
And then I have a last question on writing, because a lot of students feel they don't understand what should be the word count. What
Hmm.
word count were you aiming?
So, I was writing around 300 words, and then you told me it's not a good practice. Don't write too big. Try to concise your ideas. Try to write more formally. Like, try to write in minimal words, which makes sense, right? You don't have to exaggerate every single idea that you
Hmm.
have. So, being in the word limit was important, and I distinctly remember in my exam, I think in task one, I wrote around 125 words. And in task two, I was around 240 words. I think that much word count is good enough because you have to
And
look
what?
at the time as well.
And how was the time management? Was it okay? Was it fast? What do you think? Because they give you 1 hour, and do you think it is too much? Do you think it is less? What do you think about it?
It is just enough because, as I said, I did it in 4 months. I was not a pro in managing my time, but because I practiced, like, as I said, 30 topics in 1 month, right? One topic each day, at least I had that much speed of typing, in the exam. So that would
Hmm,
help you
hmm,
to
hmm.
manage time. So it was just good enough. I just finished on time.
And a lot of people are also worried about the French keyboard. What do you think about it? Because a lot of students feel that, oh, okay, we have to type French in exam. How will we do it in just 4 months? So, what is your take on that?
So what I did, I used a website, Born Patron, I think is what its name is. So it's pretty much same as what you see on an exam. right? They have that French keyboard just on the top, you can type. So I use that only to when I used to do writing. I never did my writing on a pen and paper. I
Mm,
always did it on computer just to, make
mm.
up my speed for typing.
Get used to it. Yeah, it's a waste of time to write it on pen on paper because obviously the exam is going to be computer based.
Yes, yes.
And before ending, anything else if you want to add? Because a lot of people, again, as I told before as well, would be inspired by just watching you, by listening to you. So
Mhm.
anything else if you want to add?
Well, I can only say that hard work is one thing, but you have to be smart about it as well.
Mm,
You should know how to like clear an exam. For example, there are special ways. For example, what worked for me, like people tell, okay, listen to French songs or watch some French series or do this and do that. But none of that worked for me. Like I always found them boring. I found like that they're not gonna help me in clearing the exam because the material is not adapted to that.
mm,
Right. And in our leisure time, we do want to do something that we enjoy rather than an exercise of learning French, right? So enjoy your life, but whenever you are studying, give your 100%. Stick to a routine that you have to study at least these many hours a day. So at least you will get used to the language. You will not lose your rhythm, right? So do that. And then being smart about it is like I always told myself, even if I don't know the language, that's fine. In my speaking, in those 15 minutes, I have to nail it, right? So
mm,
just be smart about it. And one more most important thing, don't go after learning the language completely. Learn it from the perspective of TEF Canada, that you're consuming only that much material that can help you in clearing the exam, if that is your motive. After clearing the exam, like for me, I still listen to French videos now. I still enjoy listening to French podcasts, but now that is a leisure activity for me, right? So you can always do it later on, but stick with the routine and reach your goal in 4 months.
Well, thank you so much, Sonal. I can't begin to express how proud I am. Not only have you made me and your parents proud, but you have also inspired so many people who are struggling to obtain their PR at this time, showing them that it is absolutely possible to achieve their goals. And again, thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. And I wish you the very best in everything you do from here on out.
Thank you, Ishan. Thank you so much for your help throughout my journey, and I wish everyone good luck for their goals.
Thank you so much, Sonal.